Katha Pollitt writes for The Nation, as you know. She writes a column that appears periodically called Subject to Debate. I get her confused sometimes with Patricia Williams, who also writes a column, Diary of a Mad Law Professor. Both of these writers are extremely good in their writing, in their political assessments. And this is the issue of The Nation. Which issue? I think it's the most recent one, October 24th this year. The Nation comes out and endorses editorially Hillary Clinton. But Katha Pollitt makes some interesting points, and I just have to share this with you. I really do. She writes, "The people have spoken. Quote, don't try to scare me into voting for Hillary Clinton by talking about how awful Donald Trump is. Make me love her." End quote. Pollitt goes on, "I happen to believe that thwarting Trump, a racist, xenophobic, misogynistic, fake populist, is an excellent reason to vote for his opponent, a normal human being. If you think Clinton's evil, which I don't, let me paraphrase Noam Chomsky. Quote, the reason to vote for the lesser evil is that it's less evil. Also," he added, "it's delusional to think that a Trump presidency would pave the way for a left victory in 2020, much less Susan Sarandon's so-called revolution." End quote, end quote, end quote. Now that reaction, that march to a progressive candidate, Pollitt writes, "It didn't happen when Humphrey lost to Nixon. It didn't happen when Carter lost to Reagan. And just to go there for a moment, it certainly didn't happen when the German communists scorned the weak tea socialists in the 1932 election with the slogan, 'After Hitler, us.'" I remember reading about that. Anyway, Pollitt goes on, "Mostly right-wing victories pave the way for more right-wing victories." Now, of course, Katha Pollitt is writing about a Trump victory, although I know a lot of people consider Hillary Clinton just to be another right-winger. Okay. Anyway, she goes on, "But since you ask, here are 12 reasons why Hillary deserves your vote on her own merits. First of all, reproductive rights." Pollitt says, "I'm putting this first because they're crucial to everything you care about. Women's rights, economic equality, family well-being, access to education, to say nothing of simple human happiness. Hillary is great on this issue. She supports funding Planned Parenthood, fact-based sex education, and widespread access to birth control, including the emergency contraception. She's also broken new ground by calling for an end to the Hyde Amendment, which bans the use of federal Medicaid funds to pay for poor women's abortions. The contrast with Trump, who wants to ban abortion and has filled his campaign with hardcore anti-choicers, couldn't be starker. Number two, health care. As First Lady Clinton worked to pass the State Children's Health Insurance Program, SCHIP, which funds health care for 6 million children. Now she wants to get resistant red states to expand Medicaid. She wants to, listen up, add a public option to the Affordable Care Act. She wants to let those 55 and over buy into Medicare. And she is offering coverage to undocumented immigrants. She also wants to rein in drug companies and has detailed plans to improve access to care for HIV, mental illness, and more. Now, I hope you caught that. You know, she wants to have a public, she wants to add a public option to the Affordable Care Act. Number three, voting rights. The Republican Party has been working hard to disenfranchise Black, Latino, student, and other likely Democratic voters. Clinton supports automatic registration for all citizens when they turn 18. Doesn't that make sense? When you're 18, if you're a naturalized or a native-born citizen, if you're a citizen when you turn 18, bingo, that's all you need. You get your voter registration. She wants to restore the Voting Rights Act that has been, that section of the Voting Rights Act that was gutted by Fat Tony before God took him home, or Satan, depending on your point of view. She wants to extend voting rights to ex-felons and set a national standard of 20 days for early voting. Number 4, immigration. She supports a path to citizenship for so-called dreamers. Those are young people brought to this country as children by their parents. Unlike Obama, she doesn't support deporting undocumented immigrants unless they're violent criminals or terrorists. This would bring a huge peace of mind for 11 million people. Number 5, children and families. Hillary supports 12 weeks of paid parental and family leave, 12 weeks to recover from a serious illness, universal preschool, doubling Head Start and affordable child care that costs no family more than 10% of its income. She also wants to raise the pay of child care workers and add quality child care centers to college campuses. Education, number 6. She supports debt-free public college and free community college with debt relief for current borrowers. She's also pledged $25 billion for historically black colleges and universities and other institutions that serve minorities. Number 7, criminal justice. She will support legislation to end racial profiling and introduce sentencing reforms to end our shocking era of mass incarceration. Number 8, workers' rights. She wants to raise the federal minimum wage to $12 an hour, not $15, I grant you, fight wage theft and other employer abuses, and strengthen unions' bargaining rights. She opposes the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which you might say is another success for Bernie Sanders for pushing her there. Now, just to remind you, Trump has endorsed right-to-work legislation and boasts of stiffing people who worked for him. Number 9, taxes. Clinton wants to raise taxes on the rich, prevent them from avoiding estate taxes, close loopholes for Wall Street and corporations. She debunks so-called trickle-down economics, the conservative belief that obscene wealth in the hands of a few leads to prosperity, and if you're poor, it's your own goddamn fault. And, of course, Trump brags about not paying taxes because, quote, they would be squandered too, end quote. Foreign policy. Yes, her hawkishness is a concern. It's why I supported Obama in 2008. And so did Mike Malloy, who's right now reading this. Oh, wait, that's not in there. Hillary was wrong on Iraq, and plenty of people who cheerfully supported John Edwards and John Kerry, both of whom voted the same way, now hold it against her. She supported intervention in Libya, which has not worked out well either. But unlike Trump, she supports the Iran nuclear deal, restoring diplomatic relations with Cuba and reducing the military budget. Number 11, personnel is policy. The next president will nominate at least 1 and as many as 4 justices to the Supreme Court and many judges to the federal judiciary. This alone would be reason enough to vote for Hillary. And as Tom Geohagan points out, in these times, the White House controls thousands of appointments for the officials who actually run the government. Remember the many hapless and bigoted officials of the George W. Bush years? Hillary, who is superbly knowledgeable on a wide range of issues, will nominate and appoint progressive, competent people, many of whom, as Geohagan points out, are likely to have been Bernie supporters. And number 12, everything else. Clinton is for gun control, equal pay for women, ending the school-to-prison pipeline, and the Paris Climate Change Agreement. Yes, she believes in global warming. A vote for Hillary Clinton, Polly concludes, is a vote for all these good policies. Ready to cast yours?